ఇటీవల కాలంలో ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ టెక్నాలజీ గురించి నేను చాలాసార్లు చెప్పాను. ఇందులో ఒక పక్క కనెక్టివిటీ ఉంటే భవిష్యత్తులో డేటా ఇది వెల్త్ క్రియేషన్. అందుకే భవిష్యత్తులో డేటా ఎంత ఉంటే అంత ప్రయోగాలు కానీ దానిపైన వాల్యూ అడిషన్ కానీ అవుట్కమ్స్ కానీ ఇంకొక పక్క అనుకున్న ఇన్నోవేషన్స్ కానీ అన్నీ వస్తాయి. అయితే ఇది ఇనిషియల్ స్టేజ్, బట్ హ్యూజ్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్ కూడా పెట్టాలి. ఫ్యూచర్ ఈజ్ డేటా. ఆ డేటాను పెట్టుకొని ఇన్నోవేషన్స్ వస్తాయి. యూ కెన్ ఇమాజిన్ ఎనీథింగ్, యూ కెన్ గెట్ ఇట్ ఎనీథింగ్. అంతేకాకుండా దీనిపైన ఇంప్రూవ్మెంట్స్ కానీ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ డిపెండ్స్ ఆన్ డేటా. అలాంటి డేటా సెంటరు రావాలని ఫస్ట్ టైం విజువలైజ్ చేసి క్లౌడ్ మేనేజ్మెంట్, క్లౌడ్ పాలసీ తీసుకొచ్చాం. ఎవరికి క్లౌడ్ అంటే తెలియనప్పుడు, క్లౌడ్ అంటే ఆకాశం అనుకుంటారు. ఆకాశం లేదు, భూమి మీదనే ఉంటుంది. కానీ మొత్తం డేటా ఒక దగ్గర హోస్ట్ చేయడానికి డేటా సెంటర్, ఫర్దర్ వర్డ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎ క్లౌడ్ మేనేజ్మెంట్. ఇప్పుడు ఈ డేటా సెంటర్కి మెగా డేటా సెంటర్స్ గ్లోబల్గా కూడా బెస్ట్ ఇక్కడెక్కడ ప్రపంచంలో ఉన్న ఐటీలో తీసుకొచ్చి ఈ డేటా సెంటర్ని ఇచ్చేయాలని చెప్పి ఉద్దేశంతో ఇటీవల మనకు పబ్లిక్ ప్రైవేట్ పార్ట్నర్షిప్ ఈ మనం ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్ ఇది వచ్చినప్పుడు విశాఖపట్నంలో దే ప్రజెంటెడ్ మీ దిస్ కాన్సెప్ట్. ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ వీ రిక్వెస్ట్ దెమ్ టు గో ఫర్దర్. రీసెంట్లీ విశాఖపట్నంలో అన్ని ప్రజెంట్ చేశారు. దట్ 2.5 months మునుపు. ఈరోజు అది రియాలిటీ కింద తీసుకొచ్చారు. ముందు దే విల్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ టు యూ, దెన్ యూ విల్ హ్యావ్ ఎన్ ఐడియా. ఎందుకంటే మీకు కూడా కొత్త కాబట్టి యూ హ్యావ్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ దిస్ ఈజ్ ది ఫ్యూచర్. ఫ్యూచర్ ఈజ్ ఫర్ నాలెడ్జ్ ఎకానమీ. ఫర్ నాలెడ్జ్ ఎకానమీ IT is very important. For IT, heart is data center. It is going to happen in that direction. That's why I want to give you this presentation. Earlier I developed Hyderabad as an IT hub. That is service hub. Afterwards it has become a value addition, all these things, knowledge economy. Today we are going different level, next level. This is a data hub and basing on innovation. Tomorrow I want to achieve 15% growth rate. I have to achieve. Either company or corporation or governments, anybody can plan on the base of data. You will explain.
Sir, before that, I would like to present a small video about Adani Group, sir.
Yeah.
The corporate video of Adani Group. Afterwards, Sudipta will explain about data centers. Please.
Business and cater to the majority hinterland area of India. We cover the coastline with our ports at 10 different locations. Mundra Port is Adani Group's crown jewel, and it is the largest commercial port in India. Our ports provide specific infrastructure for handling storage and evacuation of cargo via our rail, roads and pipeline networks across India. The company's integrated services across 3 verticals, that is ports, logistics and SEZ, has enabled it to forge an alliance with leading Indian businesses, making AkpSEZ an undisputed leader in the Indian port sector. In the recent years, the nation is laying increased emphasis on tackling food waste. We took it upon ourselves to contribute to the food security of the nation, thus becoming the pioneer in building integrated grain storage terminals across India. Our Fortune range of cooking oils via our joint venture with Wilmar Singapore has reached 1 million homes. We have also introduced the Farm Pig project in Himachal Pradesh, where we developed controlled atmosphere technology, which helps store fruits for almost a full year. It was time for our next crucial nation-building step. We started Adani Power with a goal to help India become self-reliant in power generation. And within just a few years of its inception, Adani Power has become the largest private power producer in the country, with an aggregated installed capacity of more than 10,440 megawatt thermal energy to complete the last crucial link in Adani's core pit-to-plug strategy. Adani Transmission has laid over 5,000 kilometers of transmission lines in India. We entered the last mile of power distribution through the motto of power of service. We entered another nation-critical sector with all heart and commitment. Adani Electricity. Our mission is to serve Mumbai with power, and this is our last leg of the power supply value chain. Growth with goodness happens when growth supports building a greener nation. And what better place to start than to start providing greener, clean energy. Our Kamudi solar plant, one of the largest solar power projects in the world, generates 648 megawatt of clean and green electricity, lighting up millions of homes. We also built the largest horizontal single-axis Tracker-Tech solar plant of India in Bhatinda, Punjab. Realizing the potential of solar energy and its future requirements, we decided it was time to go a step further. And so, Mundra Solar Photovoltaic Limited, or MSPVL, the world's first 1.2 gigawatt greenfield cell and module facility from Adani Solar, was set up. We are also investing in environmentally friendly energy solutions by establishing natural gas and piped natural gas in various cities in India. We became the best in each field we entered, building India step by step, creating growth with goodness. But we realized this wasn't enough. To make India a world leader in the 21st century, we had to do more. With an aim to strengthen India from within, we entered the field of defense and aerospace. Our vision to become a destination for world-class high-tech defense manufacturing aligned with the Make in India initiative. We have got into strategic alliances with companies that will help us bring excellence in the Indian aerospace and defense business. Infrastructure and housing continue to be important drivers of our economic growth engine. Substantial private investment is required to meet the development planned in the next few years. With a view to provide an impetus in this field, we began operations of Adani Capital in April 2017. We are leveraging our extensive knowledge and financial expertise to become partners to millions of people to power their dreams and provide them with unique, customized solutions. The assets developed by our company touch every last corner of the country, empowering 1 million lives on a daily basis. And to make sure that we never lose sight of this objective, Adani Foundation works to nurture the traditional livelihoods and ecosystems of local communities, focusing on inclusive growth to empower people. In under 3 decades, we have grown to be a company that goes beyond business. We measure our success not by our achievements in the business world, but by the number of communities we have helped become self-sustained, by the number of women we have empowered, by the number of children we have provided education to, and by the number of people we have helped smile. bit by bit, creating a country moving forward towards equality and prosperity for all. And for us, that is growth with goodness.
Yes, thank you very much. Now I request Sri Sudhir Bhattacharya, who is the Chief Executive Officer of North America Adani Group and Chief Technology Officer of the Adani Group, for a brief presentation on data centers, what they are going to do in Andhra Pradesh.
Well, Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Minister of IT, obviously, sir, dignitaries, here, the press, thank you very much for this opportunity. We are really excited to be here, and this is a great opportunity that is aligned with the outstanding vision that the Honorable Chief Minister has laid out all the time. So what I thought I would do is first talk a little about the rationale why data is so important and why is India becoming such an important part of the world's data map. So on the first slide, if you can go to what this slide really shows is what's going on in the world of data. It is interesting to note that there has been more data created in the last few years than ever before in the human history. But what is even more interesting and why this sets context for what we will be talking about over the next few slides is over the next 5 years, the amount of data that the world will consume is expected to go up by 500%. Within that, India is going to be about 4 or 5 times faster than the rest of the world. So when we start extrapolating those numbers, we very, very quickly start understanding why data is so important and why data storage, data networking, data processing is one of the largest and fastest growing industries in the world, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. If you go to the next slide, this gives us some context on what's going on in India, and when we compare it to one of the most highest data consuming countries in the world, being Japan. Today, if you really take a look at the data usage in Japan, and this is on the middle chart, Japan average citizen is 8.3 gigabytes of data every month. India has already overtaken Japan. This is a stunning statistic because here is, on one hand, you have a country that uses immense amounts of data, and no one would ever imagine that an average Indian citizen consumes more data than a Japanese would, but that's the case today. But what is even more interesting is when you look at the slide or the chart on the extreme right, and what you see there is in terms of 4G subscribers, India is penetrated only 18%. So when you take these two statistics, you soon start getting an idea what is the rate at which Indians are consuming data and why this is such a massive market. Moving on to the next slide, the question we should be asking ourselves is, what's going on? Where is this data being stored? Most of this data today is being stored outside the country. And the only place within the country where really we have data centers happens to be in Mumbai and some in China. And the largest size of the data centers that we have in India on a global scale is really small, because our existing data centers in the country are only of size 30 megawatts, whereas already in the world, the typical size of data centers is 100 to 200 megawatts, and the new hyperscalers are building data centers, they're already talking about sizes of 300 to 350 megawatt. So you're starting to see massive data centers that in themselves are really like large power plants, because when a single data center starts consuming 300 megawatts of power, you can start seeing, what is the amount of power that these buildings are going to require. Now, typically what has happened is the locations of these data centers, they happen to be along the coastline because it's easier to bring in the cable landing, and also generally speaking in the world, the density of the population is higher on the coastlines. So from that perspective, Mumbai and Chennai have been great locations in India. However, one of the most critical parts that inhibit the growth of data centers in some of the locations is high price of land. So what does this slide really say? There have been 2 locations in India where data centers have really come about. That's Mumbai and China. They are smaller data centers, land that is very, very expensive. And this is what starts opening up the door or opening up the opportunity for a place like Andhra Pradesh. So if you go to the next slide, what are we really talking about? Adani Group and the government of Andhra Pradesh are going to position themselves to be able to address this gap, as well as be able to address this massive explosion of data that we are seeing all over the world by launching a data center hub here in Visakhapatnam. What does it mean? We will start by putting up, over the next 10 years, a 1 gigawatt data center that will be spread over 3 different campuses in and around Visakhapatnam. Why do we need campuses? Because it gives the redundancy that the users of data center want. So that if one data center goes down, you still have 2 other data centers where there is enough backup. The advantage that Visakhapatnam brings, clearly, number 1, relatively low real estate costs than Mumbai or Chennai. Very, very strong educational center. It's an emerging tech center, very much aligned and driven, by the Honorable Chief Minister and the Honorable IT Minister. There is a new airport that is coming up. There is an existing airport. It is well connected, and the weather, generally speaking, is pretty good all around. And this is what the user of the data center want to see. Now, what is unique in case of Adani, and there are great synergies with the state of Andhra Pradesh, is the Chief Minister has announced that you're going to have 18 gigawatts of renewable power coming up in the next 5 years. Now, the largest sector today in the world that consumes power is data center. And every user of a data center, the large hyperscalers in the world, are very, very concerned about the carbon footprint. What it means is that they are attracted towards data centers that will use renewable energy. So that is really a strong fit between Adani's ability to be able to provide renewable energy. The data center users need to consume renewable energy to lower the carbon footprint, and the policy that has been announced by the state to drive growth in the renewable energy. This is a unique differentiator that we can bring that will help us accelerate the growth of the data centers. Moving on to the next slide, what we are really seeing is it's not just about the data center, but it's about the ecosystem that gets built around the data center. The first order, when you build the data center, yes, there is straight away a significant amount of jobs. The core data center that we are talking about creates almost 30,000 jobs. That is increased tax revenue, and land prices go up. But when you look at the second circle, there is a second order industry formation. This is where the innovation comes in. This is where other industries that use data come into the picture. And once you have access to the data centers, what you have, you start getting industries like the medical imaging industry, like the financial industries. Cryptocurrency consumes immense amounts of data and processing power. You start seeing all these industries that are the second derivative that start helping build the ecosystem. And the third part of the ecosystem starts developing as startups. What we have seen around the world, wherever the data centers have come up, there have been immense number of startups that's coming about there. Visakhapatnam, with its education, with the entrepreneurial spirit, with the easy access, the moment it has the data center and the industries start coming up, it leads to the extensive amount of innovation start